When you think of Japan, the first things that come to mind are sushi, sakura, and geishas. True, everyone has different ideas about the latter. The very first geisha. A geisha is a person who is professionally engaged in entertaining customers with dances, songs, tea ceremonies, and anything else, as long as interesting cultural pastime comes out. Yes, the definition indicates not only a woman, but a person, because initially geishas were men. Literally, geisha is translated from Japanese as man of art. The emergence of such a controversial profession took place in 17th century. At that time, the first male geisha began to entertain the inhabitants of the largest Japanese cities, Kyoto, Tokyo, and Osaka. Basically, these were actors from the Japanese kabuki theater. They had to dress up as jesters and put on performances at various celebrations. Most often, these were parties with prostitutes, and male geisha were invited as a cultural program, something like a modern Toastmaster. Finally, in 1761, the first woman joined the ranks of male entertainers. Her name was Kasen, and in order to do what she loved, she paid off her debts and broke with prostitution. Then more and more girls were drawn to this profession, which soon completely ousted men from it. Duties of a geisha. In general, a geisha was obliged only to entertain the visitors culturally, without carnal pleasures. But with the spread of this profession in Japan, all geisha were divided into two categories: those who demonstrate only their talents, white geisha, and those who share a bed with the client, overturning geisha. But they prefer not to be attributed to the art of geisha and were called YUJO. In general, the law at all times forbade geisha to engage in prostitution. But for the sake of profit, many did not comply with it. In short, a real geisha only held celebrations and attended banquets, entertaining with music, dance, poetry, or simply invited as an interlocutor. In addition, the geisha helped organize various parlor games like tossing-kyo, throwing a fan at a target, or the Japanese version of rock, paper, scissors, and gave sake to the losers. They provided musical accompaniment to the banquet by playing the shamisen, something like a Japanese balalaika, called suzumi, Japanese shoulder drum, and flute. And if the guests wanted to compete in the edition of haiku, drawing or dancing, geishas also participated in it. How did geisha differ from yujo? Yujo and geisha differed in many ways in appearance. First, a real geisha has a kimono belt or kikizuri for dancing, tied behind with a complex knot that cannot be tied back without the help of a person. A yujo, that is a prostitute, has a kimono tied with an ordinary knot, which is simply and quickly tied. You understand why. Geishas had neat but layered makeup, which was applied like makeup by special trained people or other geisha in the house. The yujo were wearing vulgar makeup, even by today's standards. By the way, only novice geisha applied full makeup. Mature ones believed that the true beauty of an adult lady did not need makeup at all and painted only for very important events. Many of them refused to make up their faces because of the toxicity of cosmetics. Geisha suffered from skin problems and poisoning because the famous Japanese whitewash contained a lot of lead. They also had warbler dung makeup, which gives the face whiteness and smoothness. But then the negative effect of such an ingredient nevertheless manifested itself. Yujo was allowed to put whatever was at hand on their hair. A lot of hairpins, pendants, combs. Their hairstyles were intricate. Geishas could not decorate their hair with so many accessories. They were allowed to wear one comb or one hairpin. The quality of geisha hair deteriorated greatly from endless tension. The hair often fell out and left noticeable bald patches. However, they were proud of this, believing that this was a demonstration of their experience and perfect training. Tall hairstyles were replaced by wigs, and older geishas didn't bother with it at all, pinning their hair with a pin. How did a person become a geisha? Some little girls found themselves in Oki, the house of geisha, and began their studies. They got there mainly if they were sold by poor parents. Of course, there were those who wanted to get there voluntarily in order to earn money by this honest and, most importantly, cultural work. Some more girls inherited a profession from their mothers if she was an adult geisha living in an okya. At first, girls played the role of maids, doing housework and serving adult geishas. Sometime later, they are taken by their older sisters. That was the name of the partners high in rank, helping to comprehend all the basics of such hard work. Usually, the elder sister is simply the oldest geisha in the house. Her success and skill determined the future success of the young geisha. The girl's tuition fee was also her responsibility. The girls studied singing, playing musical instruments, dancing, ikebana, painting, and anything else that might attract the visitor's attention in the future. Even politics. Since the beginning of training, girls have been called maiko. After 6 months of studying the art, they take an exam, and if the result is satisfactory, they pass the misidashi ceremony, receiving the official title of geisha. This is where their career began. The first client was picked up either by the so-called older sister or Dana. This is the official patron of a geisha, sometimes even a lover, from whom a woman can have children. He sponsored the geisha from head to toe, pays for the robes, and looks for suitable clients. In other words, he was a pimp. Not every geisha had Dana, mostly only successful ones. How were geisha found? In both large and small cities, geisha could not work wherever they wanted. They were allowed to settle only in specific areas of the city, hanamachi. Entertaining and spiritually enlightening clients in other parts was forbidden, unless, of course, this was required by special wish of the visitor. Strange tradition. All geishas had to follow the old Japanese tradition of blackening their teeth, calling ohaguro, as a dark dye. Juice of various bitter herbs and fruits were used, as well as liquid from galls, parasitic formation on plant leaves, caused by viruses, bacteria, fungi, and arthropods. This is quite a disgusting procedure. To prepare a haguro, natural dyes were mixed with water and sake in a special container, and then rusty iron rods heated on fire were added there. The crazy mix was kept for a whole week and then poured into the mouth. So, in reality, the smile of a geisha was not as attractive and captivating as it is described in books.